Single billionaire young man abandons his pregnant fiancée at the hospital. Years later, he finds a homeless woman selling candy with triplets identical to him. Logan Bennett always knew he was different from other boys. While they played video games, he studied financial reports. While they went out to parties, he attended business meetings. By the time he was 28, he already ran an empire most people would spend a lifetime trying to build. "You were born for this, Logan." His father's voice had echoed in his mind since childhood. Feelings are luxuries men like us cannot afford. And Logan believed that until he met Emily Carson. Emily worked as a nurse at the hospital, where Logan was admitted after a car accident. She had something he had never seen before: genuine kindness. She didn't treat him like billionaire Logan Bennett. To her, he was just another patient in need of care. "You need to rest," she said the first night, adjusting his pillow. "Your money isn't going anywhere." Logan laughed. No one had ever spoken to him like that. 3 months later, they were engaged. For 2 years, Logan lived something he never thought possible. Emily made him laugh at silly things, made him want to come home early, made him dream of a life that wasn't only about profits and losses. But Logan's father watched everything with growing disapproval. "This girl is making you weak," William Bennett said during a tense dinner. "You're losing focus. Competitors are gaining ground." "I'm happy, Dad." "Happiness doesn't pay the bills, Logan, and it certainly doesn't build empires." Emily tried not to be bothered by William's hostility. She knew Logan loved her. That should be enough. But the constant pressure from her future father-in-law began creating cracks in their relationship. Logan came home increasingly stressed. Meetings ran late into the evening. Weekends were consumed by emergencies that always seemed to happen at the worst time. "You're becoming just like him," Emily said one night, after Logan cancelled her birthday dinner for the 3rd time. "Don't say that." His response was sharper than he intended. "Then prove me wrong." But Logan couldn't. Each day, his father's words made more sense. The business really was suffering. Maybe Emily really was a distraction. Then came the news that would change everything. Triplets. The doctor smiled as he pointed to the ultrasound screen. 3 healthy boys. Emily held Logan's hand, her eyes shining with joy. "Can you believe it? 3. Logan forced a smile, but inside, panic took hold. 3 children. 3 responsibilities. 3 reasons he would never again be able to fully focus on work. That night, William Bennett didn't have to say anything. He just looked at his son with an expression that said, "I warned you." 3 kids, Logan. Do you have any idea what that means? It means I'm going to be a father. It means your life is over. You'll be a slave to crying babies, diapers, and medical bills. Meanwhile, your competitors will leave you behind. Emily will help me. Emily is a nurse, Logan. She earns in a year what you spend in a week, and now she'll have to stop working to care for 3 babies. You'll be supporting 4 people, all by yourself. His father's words echoed in Logan's head for weeks. He began to look at Emily differently, noticed how she was already planning the nursery, buying baby clothes, talking about schools. "Don't you think we're rushing things?" he asked one day. "What do you mean?" "Maybe we should wait, see how things develop." Emily stopped folding the baby's clothes. "Logan, I'm 7 months pregnant. There's no more time to wait." "I know, it's just that 3 children are a lot of responsibility." "A responsibility we'll share. Together." But Logan didn't feel ready to share anything. He felt trapped. When Emily went into labor 2 weeks early, Logan was in a crucial meeting. His secretary interrupted to deliver the news. "Mr. Bennett, your fiancée is at the hospital. The babies are on the way." All eyes in the room turned to Logan. Important investors were waiting for his decision on a multi-million-dollar deal. Across town, Emily needed him. "Continue the meeting," Logan said, surprising everyone. "I'll catch up with you later." But he didn't go straight to the hospital. First, he stopped at home, then at the office to review some documents. By the time he finally arrived at the hospital, it was late at night. Emily was alone in the room, exhausted yet radiant, holding 3 tiny babies. "They're perfect," she whispered. "Noah, Levi, and Eli, our boys." Logan looked at the three sleeping faces and felt nothing. Or rather, he felt fear. Fear he wouldn't be a good father. Fear he'd fail. Fear his life would never be the same. "Where were you?" Emily asked, noticing his distant expression. "Work. An emergency." Emily said nothing, but something in her eyes changed. Logan saw the hurt there, even if she tried to hide it. In the days that followed, things only got worse. Emily tried to care for 3 newborns alone while recovering from childbirth. Logan appeared at the hospital only briefly, always with an excuse to leave soon. "They cry a lot," he commented one day, visibly annoyed. "They're babies, Logan. That's normal." "I couldn't sleep all night." Welcome to parenthood. But Logan didn't want to be welcomed. He wanted his old life back. On the 4th night, everything fell apart. Logan arrived home after another stressful day and found a missed call from Emily. When he called back, she was crying. "Eli won't stop crying. I think he has a fever. Noah can't latch properly, and Levi..." She sobbed. "I don't know what to do, Logan. I need you here. I have an important presentation early tomorrow. Logan, our children need you. I need you. Emily, you're a nurse. You know how to take care of babies better than I do." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. "Are you saying you're not coming?" Logan closed his eyes. "I'll try to stop by later." "Try?" He hung up without answering. That night, Logan had a conversation that would change everything. "You made the right choice," William said, pouring himself some whiskey. "Emily needs to understand you have bigger responsibilities. She said the boys are sick. Babies get sick. It's part of life. But if you run off every time, you'll never get any work done. Maybe she's right. Maybe I should be there." "Logan," his father's voice became more severe, "I raised you to be a leader. Leaders make tough decisions. You can be a mediocre father or an exceptional businessman, but you can't be both." Those words poisoned Logan's mind. For days, he avoided the hospital. When he finally showed up, Emily barely looked at him. "They're being discharged today," she said, emotionless. "Great, we can go home." "No, Logan. I'm going home, with them." "What do you mean?" Emily finally faced him. "You made it clear where your priorities lie, and it's not with us." "Emily, don't be dramatic." "Dramatic?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I spent a week caring for 3 newborns by myself while you were working. I called begging for help and you ignored me. What do you want me to call it? I was building a future for us." "No. You were running away from responsibility, and I'm not going to raise my children waiting for a father who'll never show up." Logan felt the floor drop from under him. "You can't keep me from seeing my kids. I won't keep you from anything, but I also won't wait for you anymore. If you want to be part of their lives, you have to prove you deserve it." Emily gathered the baby's few belongings and headed for the door. Logan could have run after her, could have apologized, could have promised to change. Instead, he let her go. In the months that followed, Logan threw himself into work with an intensity that impressed even William. He closed record-breaking deals, expanded the company into 3 new countries, won Entrepreneur of the Year awards. But in the silent early morning hours, when he couldn't sleep, he found himself thinking of 3 little faces he barely knew. Wondered if Noah was still having trouble nursing, if Eli still cried a lot, if Levi smiled when someone made funny faces. Emily had completely disappeared. She moved out of the apartment they shared and left no address behind. Logan hired investigators, but she seemed to have vanished. "It's better this way," William would say whenever Logan mentioned the children. "Now you can focus on what really matters." But Logan began to doubt his father was right, especially when he woke up in the middle of the night with a tightness in his chest, feeling he had lost something far more valuable than any business deal. He just didn't imagine he would soon discover where Emily and the boys were, and that the reality would be much worse than any nightmare he could have imagined. Emily Carson always knew life wasn't going to be easy. She lost her parents in a car accident at 16 and had learned to rely only on herself. She worked hard to earn her nursing degree, saving every penny to have a place of her own. When she met Logan, for the first time in years, she allowed herself to dream of having a family. of stability, of love. What a fool she had been. Now standing at the hospital door with 3 babies in her arms and a bag carrying her only possessions, Emily faced a brutal reality. She was completely alone. She had no family, no home. The apartment belonged to Logan, no savings. Every penny had gone to medical exams and baby supplies, and she had nowhere to go. "It's all right, boys," she whispered to the 3 tiny bundles who were now her entire family. "We'll figure this out together." The first days were the hardest of Emily's life. She managed to stay 3 nights in a cheap motel, but the money ran out quickly. With 3 babies to feed and care for, she could barely sleep, let alone work. She tried a few shelters, but they all had enormous waiting lists. She asked for help from some of her former hospital co-workers, but most barely knew her and couldn't take on the responsibility of a single mother with triplets. And that's how Emily Carson, at 26 years old, ended up living on the streets with 3 two-month-old babies. At first, she still had hope. She thought it would be temporary, that she'd find a solution, that maybe Logan would change his mind and come looking for them. But weeks turned into months, and hope turned into bitterness. Emily learned to survive in ways she never imagined. She discovered which churches offered free soup on Sundays. She learned where to get donated diapers. She discovered that some people were generous enough to give a bit of spare change when they saw a young mother with 3 babies. And that's how she started selling candy at a traffic light, not by choice, but out of necessity. With the boys strapped to her in makeshift carriers made of cloth, Emily spent hours under the sun or in the rain, offering candy to drivers who, most of the time, wouldn't even roll down their windows. "Please," she learned to say with the right tone, neither too desperate nor too proud. Candy, gum, cold water. Some days were better than others. Some drivers bought multiple candies and left her the change. Others ignored her completely or, worse, made nasty comments about young people having children they can't afford. Emily learned to swallow her humiliation along with her hunger. The boys grew up seeing the world through car windows. Noah was the quiet one, watching everything with eyes too serious for a baby. Levi smiled at anyone who looked at him, as though he still believed the world was a good place. Eli cried more, as if sensing his mother's constant tension. At night, Emily fed them with formula she managed to buy with the day's earnings. The 3 of them slept huddled against her, under a highway overpass on the outskirts of the city, protected only by a piece of tarp she had found at a construction site. "Mommy will figure it out," she whispered to them on cold nights. "Mommy promises she'll figure it out." But the months turned into years, and a solution never came. Emily completely shut herself off from any possibility of a new relationship. When men approached, either to help or for other reasons, she immediately pushed them away. Love had become a forbidden word in her vocabulary. Love was Logan promising to always be by her side and then abandoning her at the moment she needed him most. Love was believing in a future that never existed. Love was pain, and Emily Carson swore to herself she would never feel that pain again. The boys became her only reason to go on, even on the hardest days, when she was so hungry she could barely stand. Emily found the strength to smile at them, to make up stories, to make them believe that living under a bridge was some kind of big adventure. "Look, Noah," she'd say, pointing at the stars. "They're diamonds in the sky. One day, Mommy will get some for you." Noah, even though he was little, seemed to understand they were just stories. But Levi clapped his hands, excited, and Eli settled down, as if his mother's words were a balm for his small worries. 5 years passed like this. 5 years of daily struggle. 5 years of constant humiliation. 5 years of a woman who once believed in love, learning the only person she could depend on was herself. Emily had no idea that, on the other side of the city, Logan Bennett had become an even richer and more successful man. She didn't know that sometimes he woke up in the middle of the night thinking of her and the children he had abandoned. All Emily knew was that she had 3 boys to protect and would do anything, absolutely anything, to keep them safe, even if that meant spending the rest of her life selling candy at a traffic light, with her heart sealed against any possibility of love. Because for Emily Carson, love wasn't enough. It never was, and it never would be again. Traffic had been stuck for almost half an hour. Logan drummed his fingers on the steering wheel of his black Audi, irritated by the delay. An important meeting waited for him, and he hated being late. 6 years as the absolute CEO of Bennett Enterprises had only made him more impatient. "How much longer?" he asked his driver, checking his watch for the third time in 5 minutes. "Hard to say, sir. There's been an accident on the main avenue. The authorities are redirecting traffic." Logan exhaled heavily, picking up his phone to notify someone about his delay. His life was measured in minutes. Time was money, and he wasted neither. The light turned red for the third time, and Logan raised his eyes from the phone, tired of waiting. That's when he saw it. A woman who was far too thin, wearing worn-out clothes and her hair in a messy bun, was selling candy among the cars. But that wasn't what caught his attention. It was the 3 children beside her. 3 identical boys around 6 years old, with dark hair and intense blue eyes. The same blue eyes he saw every day in the mirror, the same features he recognized from childhood photos his mother kept. "Stop the car," he ordered, without taking his eyes off the scene. "Sir, stop the car now!" The driver pulled over abruptly. Logan got out without thinking, leaving the door open, ignoring the angry horn behind him. The world around him disappeared. Only those 4 people a few yards away existed. His steps were automatic, as if something pulled him forward. As he got closer, details became sharper. The boys' faces were miniature replicas of his own as a child. The shape of the chin, the arched eyebrows, even the way they furrowed their brows while watching the cars. The woman had her back turned, giving change to a driver. One of the boys noticed Logan first and nudged his brother. The 3 stared at him, curious, as if seeing something familiar in a stranger. Then the woman turned around. Emily. Time froze. Her eyes, which once held so much life and hope, now looked dull, tired, marked by deep, dark circles. Yet, when she recognized him, something flashed in them. It wasn't joy. It was pure anger. "Emily," was all Logan could manage, her name coming out as a strangled whisper. She stepped protectively in front of the boys in a fierce, instinctive move, like a lioness defending her cubs. Her body, once soft and curvy, was now angular, bony, marked by hardship. "You have no right to look at them," she said firmly, not yelling but with an intensity that struck him like a slap. Logan wanted to speak, to explain, to understand, but the words wouldn't come. One of the boys, the most serious-looking one, tugged at the hem of Emily's faded t-shirt. "Mommy, why does that man look like us?" The innocent question fell between them like a stone. Emily didn't answer her son, keeping her eyes fixed on Logan, as though she could force him away by sheer will. Her hands, Logan noticed, trembled slightly. Are they my children?" Logan finally asked, though he already knew the answer. The resemblance was undeniable. "No," Emily replied, with cutting coldness. "They're my children, only mine." She gathered the remaining candy into a battered plastic bag and took 2 of the boys by the hand. The third clung to her skirt, staring at Logan with childish curiosity. "Let's go, boys, it's getting late." "But we barely sold anything today," protested one of them, the one who seemed more talkative. "You said we need to buy medicine for Eli." The mention of the medicine made Emily hesitate, and Logan saw worry cross her face. He noticed that one of the boys, presumably Eli, had a dry, repetitive cough. "I can help," he offered, pulling his wallet from inside the pocket of his tailored Italian suit jacket. "Please, let me—" "We don't want your money," Emily cut him off, so fast and furious that Logan actually stepped back. "We don't want anything from you." "Emily, please." "I just want to talk." 6 years too late to talk, Logan." Hearing his name on her lips felt strange, like a song not heard for a very long time. For an instant, Logan saw the Emily from before, the kind nurse who stole his heart, the woman who made him believe he could be more than William Bennett's son. But traffic started moving again. Impatient horns blared. The world rushed back in, shattering the moment. "I have to go," Emily said, already pulling the boys away. "Wait, how can I find you?" Logan advanced, desperate not to lose them again. Emily glanced over her shoulder one last time. Her eyes reflected 6 years of struggle, sleepless nights, and constant worry. You can't. And then they were gone, blending into the crowd, leaving Logan standing on the sidewalk, feeling more lost than he ever had in his life. The man who controlled $1 billion empire couldn't control the storm of emotions inside him. Mr. Bennett, the board has been waiting for 20 minutes. Logan barely heard his secretary. He was in his office, staring at nothing, replaying that morning's encounter in his mind. The image of Emily, thin and hardened by life, wouldn't leave his thoughts. And the boys, his children. Children he had never met, who grew up not knowing their father. Mr. Bennett, cancel, he finally said, his voice sounding distant even to himself. Cancel everything today. But, sir, the merger with Tech Global, cancel everything. The shout was louder than he intended, causing the secretary to flinch. Logan took a deep breath, running his hands over his face. I'm sorry, Sandra. A personal emergency has come up. It's urgent. The secretary, long accustomed to his demanding demeanor, only nodded and left. Logan picked up the phone and dialed a number he hadn't used in years. Frank, Logan Bennett, I need your services. Today, it's a matter of life and death. Frank Williams was the best private investigator in the city. Expensive, discreet, and efficient. Logan had hired him before to investigate competitors and close tricky deals, never for personal matters. 3 hours later, Frank was in his office, a man in his 50s, with eyes that seemed to see right through people. I want you to find Emily Carson, Logan said bluntly. And 3 boys, triplets, 6 years old. Frank raised his eyebrows. Any connection to you? Does that matter? It helps my job to know what I'm dealing with. Logan hesitated, twirling a pen between his fingers. They're my children. Frank showed no surprise. He simply jotted something down in his battered notebook. Last known address. No idea. I saw her today selling candy at a traffic light near 42nd Street and 5th Avenue. Describe her appearance and the children. Logan described Emily, thinner than he remembered, longer hair, simple worn-out clothes, and the boys. With details even he was surprised he had noticed. How one seemed shy, always behind the others. How another had a little bandage on his knee and wouldn't stop fidgeting. How the third wouldn't let go of his mother's hand and had that persistent cough. I want everything about them, Logan concluded, leaning forward. Where they live, how they live, what they need. Everything, Frank. This could take a few days. If she has no fixed address, you have until tomorrow. Logan opened a drawer and removed a thick envelope. Consider this an advance. There will be more when you bring me concrete information. Frank gave a humorless smile, taking the envelope without checking its contents. Your money, your rules, any other instructions? Logan thought for a moment. Yes. Be discreet. I don't want her knowing she's being watched, and don't approach the children. After Frank left, Logan spent the rest of the day pacing the office like a caged animal. He called his father 3 times, hanging up before the call connected. What would he say? That he had found the children he abandoned, that the woman he left in the hospital was now selling candy on the street. William Bennett had died 2 years earlier, leaving everything to Logan. In his final months, consumed by an aggressive cancer, he'd confessed he regretted the way he had lived, always putting business above family. Don't make the same mistakes, were his last words. Logan thought he was making peace with the past, taking full control of the company, expanding the business to 3 continents. But now he realized he was only running away, filling every minute so he wouldn't think about 3 little faces he had never met, their birthdays he never celebrated, their first words he never heard. His phone rang in the middle of the night. It was Frank. I found them, Mr. Bennett. Where? You're not going to like what I have to say. It was raining when Logan arrived at the location Frank had given him, an abandoned overpass in a poor section of the city, an area known for crime and poverty. He told his driver to park a safe distance away and walked alone, shielded only by an expensive umbrella that looked absurdly out of place in such desolation. The rain fell heavily, forming puddles on the broken sidewalks. There weren't many people around at that hour, close to midnight, making it easier for Logan to move unnoticed. The smell of trash and open sewage churned his stomach. The overpass stretched above a polluted river snaking through the city. Beneath it, hidden from passing cars, lay a small makeshift camp. A ripped blue tarp, tied to a few beams, served as a roof. Cardboard pieces were laid out as flooring. Several boxes formed a barrier, an attempt at privacy. Logan approached cautiously. No one in sight. Maybe Frank was mistaken. Then he saw them. Under the tarp, sleeping on the cardboard, were Emily and the three boys, all huddled together for warmth, covered by a single thin blanket that was soaked at the edges where the rain reached. Around them were all their belongings, a few carefully folded clothes in an old backpack, a plastic container with what looked like food scraps, a bag of candy for selling, a few broken toys, a car missing a wheel, a small doll missing an arm, a children's book with crumpled, water-stained pages. The sight hit like a punch to the gut. Logan felt his legs give out. He dropped to his knees in the mud, not caring about his $1,000 pants. The umbrella slipped from his hands, rain now drenching his face, hair, clothes. For the first time in years, perhaps for the first time in his life, Logan Bennett, the ruthless billionaire who closed deals without blinking, felt the overwhelming weight of guilt. Her guilt so strong it physically hurt, as if something were tearing open his chest. Emily slept with her arms around the boys, even in slumber, trying to protect them. One coughed softly. Eli, Logan assumed. Another twitched restlessly, kicking at the blanket. The third buried his face in his mother's shoulder, seeking safety. "What have I done?" Logan whispered to himself, rain mixing with the tears now streaming uncontrollably down his face. My God, what have I done? 6 years. 6 years during which he amassed more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes, while his own children slept in the open air. 6 years building an empty empire, while the woman he once loved fought alone to survive. 6 years missing moments he would never get back. The pain devoured him entirely. It wasn't just guilt, it was shame, regret, a terrible sense of lost time he could never recover, of lives destroyed by his cowardice. One of the boys, Logan couldn't tell which, stirred and opened his eyes for a second. For an instant, father and son looked at each other through the rain. There was curiosity in the boy's eyes, but no recognition. Why would there be? Logan was just a stranger to him, a stranger watching his misery. The boy fell back asleep, and Logan retreated slowly, afraid of waking them, afraid of causing more harm than he already had. He walked back to the car, soaked and forever changed. "Where to, sir?" the driver asked, startled by his employer's state. Logan looked once more at the overpass, at the family he had abandoned, at the life he might have had, at the 4 people sleeping under a torn tarp while he lived in a 4,000-square-foot penthouse. "Home," he replied hoarsely. "And tomorrow, I want you to take me to the best hotel in the city. Book the most luxurious suite they have, 2 bedrooms at least. Any special occasion, sir?" "And then," Logan continued, ignoring the question, "contact my realtor. Tell him to find a house, a real house, not one of those luxury apartments." "Any specifications, sir?" Logan closed his eyes, seeing again the children sleeping on cardboard. 4 bedrooms, a big yard, near a good school, safe, cozy. He paused. The kind of place where a real family can live, not just exist. The driver nodded, asking no further questions. After years working for Logan Bennett, he knew when his boss didn't want to talk. That night, Logan didn't sleep. He sat in the darkness of his empty penthouse, a glass of whiskey in his hand, making the decision he should have made 6 years earlier. He would no longer run. He wouldn't let Emily and the boys suffer another day. He would do whatever it took to fix what he had broken. Even knowing some things once destroyed never go back to what they were. But he would try. Even if Emily hated him forever, even if his children never called him dad, even if he spent the rest of his life proving that he had changed, Logan Bennett finally understood what his father tried to tell him on his deathbed. There was no empire worth having without people to share it with, no success that justified abandoning those who depended on you. At first light, he called Frank again. "I have another job for you," he said, his voice hoarse from a sleepless night. "I want you to buy clothes, food, medicine, toys. Take everything to that address from last night when they're not there. They might refuse it, sir. She doesn't seem like the type who accepts charity. Then be creative. Leave it as if it came from a church or some organization. I don't want them to know it's from me, not yet. It was only the beginning, the first step in a long journey of redemption. Logan knew it wouldn't be easy. Knew Emily had every right to reject him, that she might never forgive him. And Frank, he added before hanging up, I want you to reserve the presidential suite at the Grand Plaza Hotel. Indefinitely. Be ready to take them there anytime. You plan to get them off the streets? Logan looked out the window at the city waking below. I plan to do much more than that. He hung up and stared at the phone for a long moment. Then he opened his desk drawer and took out a small unyellowed envelope. Inside was the only photo he'd kept of Emily, the two of them smiling in a park before everything went wrong, before he proved he was exactly like his father. For the first time in his life, Logan Bennett wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about 3 little boys sleeping in the cold, and the brave woman who protected them alone when he was too much of a coward to stay. And that, more than any lesson his father ever tried to teach him, finally made him a man. 3 days had passed since Logan discovered where Emily and the boys were living, 3 days in which he could barely work, eat, or sleep. The image of them sleeping under that torn tarp haunted him constantly. On the first day, he had Frank drop off a simple package, new blankets, some non-perishable food, and 3 identical teddy bears. Nothing fancy, nothing that would stand out. On the second day, it was clothes for the boys, pants, shirts, jackets, and shoes. All in the right sizes, all decent quality but without flashy brands. And a coat for Emily, who he noticed was shivering in the cold mornings despite trying to hide it. Now, on the third day, Logan drove himself to the traffic light where he knew Emily sold candy. He parked far enough to avoid being seen but close enough to watch. The boys were wearing the new clothes, he noticed. A small victory. He waited until they left and followed them at a safe distance. They stopped in a small park. Emily sat on a bench while the boys played. They seemed more lively than on the first day, Logan noticed. Perhaps just sleeping better, free from the chill, made a difference. When Emily got distracted helping one of the boys tie his shoelaces, Logan signaled Frank, who quickly placed a bag near their belongings and disappeared. Inside the bag, fresh fruit, sandwiches, juice, and a small box of 3 toy cars. Logan watched from a distance as the boys discovered the bag, their little faces lit up at the food and especially the toys. One of them, Logan guessed Noah, the most serious, looked around warily as if searching for whoever had left the gifts. Emily also looked around, narrowing her eyes. For a moment, Logan thought she might see him, but he was well hidden. This routine continued for a week. Every day, Logan left something new. Always food, sometimes clothes, small toys for the boys. A thicker blanket, a first aid kit, a children's book. Emily never threw anything away, but Logan could sense her reluctance. She inspected every item carefully before letting the boys use it, smelled the food, checking if it was spoiled, examined the seams of the clothes, as if looking for something hidden. On the 8th day, Logan decided to take a risk. He left a larger bag than usual. Along with the usual food, there was an envelope with money. Not much. He knew Emily would reject a large sum, but enough for medicine, enough for a motel room on rainy nights. It was a mistake. When Emily found the envelope, her face hardened. She looked around angrily, then tore it to shreds, letting the wind carry the pieces away. Logan felt his heart sink. He had miscalculated. The next day, he went back to the previous routine, leaving only food and essentials. But Emily was now on high alert. She started returning to the overpass by different paths, constantly glancing over her shoulder. It was on the 10th day that she finally saw him. Logan was leaving a bag of fruit when he heard her voice behind him. "So it's you." He turned slowly. Emily was alone, arms crossed, in a defensive posture. The boys were nowhere in sight. "Where are the children?" Logan asked, surprised to see her without them. "Left them with a friend." Her curt answer showed she didn't trust him enough to say more. "What do you think you're doing?" "Trying to help," You think you can buy the kids' affection with a few pieces of fruit." Her voice was sharp, but Logan detected something else beneath it. Exhaustion. Deep exhaustion. "I'm not trying to buy anything, Emily." 6 years, she said, stepping closer. 6 years you never looked for me, never cared if we were alive or dead. And now you show up with gifts as if you're some good Samaritan." Logan swallowed hard. "I know I did everything wrong. I know I don't deserve forgiveness." "Then why are you here?" "Because I want to help, not for me, for them." Emily let out a bitter laugh. "Helping now is easy, isn't it? Now that they can walk and talk and feed themselves. Now that they survived the hardest part. Where were you when Eli had pneumonia at 2, when Noah cried from hunger, when Levi had such a high fever I thought I'd lose him?" Every word was a knife in Logan's chest. He had no answers, only guilt. "You're right," he finally said. "I have no excuses. I just don't want them to be in need anymore." Emily was silent for a moment, studying him. Her eyes, once full of fury, now only showed exhaustion. "The kids do like the fruit," she admitted at last, her voice softer. "It's been a while since they've had anything fresh." Logan felt a flicker of hope. "So I can keep bringing it." "Do whatever you want." "I can't stop you." It was a reluctant permission, but it was something. Logan nodded, not daring to ask for more. Emily turned to leave, but paused. "They asked who was leaving the gifts. I said it was someone who wanted to help." "What did they think about that?" A small smile appeared at the corner of Emily's mouth, the first he'd seen in years. "Levi said it must be Santa Claus practicing for Christmas. Eli thinks it's an angel, Noah." She hesitated. "Noah thinks it's you." Logan's heart skipped a beat. "What did you tell him? That you wouldn't know where to find us?" Emily adjusted her bag on her shoulder. "But he's observant, always has been. He saw you that day at the traffic light and hasn't forgotten." Logan wanted to ask more, but Emily was already leaving. He let her go, understanding that every little step was a victory. In the following weeks, the routine continued. Logan brought food, clothes, toys. Emily didn't confront him again, but sometimes she left little signs that she knew it was him. A short note about something the boys needed, a single piece of fruit set aside as if for him. The boys began smiling more. Even Noah, the most serious, now ran and played with more energy. Eli coughed less. The medicine Logan had left seemed to be working. Levi, always the most upbeat, invented stories about the secret friend leaving gifts. Emily stayed watchful, always on guard, always protective. But Logan noticed small changes. She seemed less tense, a bit less thin. Sometimes, when she thought no one was looking, he saw her smile as she watched the boys playing with something he had left. It was a fragile beginning, a delicate balance between her pride and his guilt, between a past they couldn't change and an uncertain future. Emily still hadn't forgiven him. She might never forgive him. But for the first time in 6 years, there was a small bridge being built across the chasm separating them. A bridge made of fresh fruit, simple toys, and children's smiles. And for now, that was enough. Summer arrived in the city with full force. The humid, suffocating heat covered everything like a blanket that was far too heavy. It was the kind of morning where the asphalt seemed to melt under your feet, and the air conditioning in passing cars became an enviable luxury. Emily woke up earlier than usual. Her body ached, but that was nothing new. She had been living with pain for so long that she barely noticed anymore. What worried her was the dizziness she'd felt since the night before. "Mommy, I'm thirsty," Eli mumbled, rubbing his sleepy eyes. Emily forced a smile. "I'll get you some water, sweetheart." She stood up slowly, leaning on the makeshift wall of cardboard boxes. Her vision went dark for a moment, but she took a deep breath and waited it out. She couldn't afford to get sick. She didn't have that luxury. "Come on, boys. Time to work." Noah was already awake, neatly folding the blanket as Emily had taught him. Always the most responsible, even at 6. Levi was still whining for just 5 more minutes, curled up like a snail. "Today we'll go downtown," Emily said, handing out pieces of the bread Logan had left the day before. "It's busier there." "But it's farther," Noah pointed out, ever practical. You said your legs were hurting yesterday. Emily ruffled her son's hair. Mommy's fine. And there are more wealthy people there who might buy candy. What she didn't say was that it was also closer to the hospital in case Eli had another asthma flare-up. The humid air wasn't helping, and they were running low on medicine. They packed up their few belongings and set off. The sun had barely risen, but the heat was already oppressive. Emily felt sweat trickling down her back as she walked, holding Levi and Eli's hands. Noah walked ahead, carrying the candy bag like a little grown-up. The walk downtown had never seemed so long. Every block made Emily's legs heavier, her breathing more labored. She stopped twice to rest, something she rarely did. "Mommy, are you okay?" Eli asked, his big eyes full of concern. "Just a little tired, sweetheart." Emily forced another smile. "This heat is tough today, isn't it?" In truth, she felt cold despite the sweat soaking her shirt. Her head throbbed, and dark spots rimmed her vision. But she kept going. She had to feed her children. They finally reached the busy corner Emily had chosen. Rushed executives, tourists with maps, locals annoyed by traffic, a good place to sell candy. "Noah, you take these candies. Levi, you take these. Eli, you stick with me today." Eli still had a slight cough, and Emily wanted to keep him close. The boys positioned themselves like little soldiers in a daily battle they knew all too well. The first 2 hours were reasonable. They sold about a third of the candy, enough to guarantee lunch. But the heat only got worse, and Emily felt worse by the minute. "Mommy, there's a man watching us," Noah whispered, tugging on her shirt. Emily turned slowly, knowing who it would be before even looking. Logan was on the other side of the street, inside his air-conditioned luxury car, watching, as he'd been doing almost every day now. She looked away. She didn't have the energy to deal with him today. The light turned red, and Emily stepped among the cars with Eli. "Candy, sir?" "Just $2 a pack." The driver ignored her, windows sealed against the heat and against her. Emily moved to the next car. That's when it happened. A wave of dizziness hit her so hard she staggered. The candy fell from her hands. She tried to steady herself, but her legs wouldn't respond. The world spun, colors blurring together. She heard Eli calling Mommy, as though from far away. Then darkness. Logan had been watching Emily and the boys for nearly an hour. This had become part of his routine in recent weeks. He didn't interfere, just made sure they were safe and that no one bothered them. He immediately sensed something was off. Emily looked paler than usual, unsteady on her feet. He saw her stop to rest twice on the way downtown, something he had never seen her do. "She's not well," he muttered to himself. When the light turned red and Emily crossed between cars, Logan leaned forward, tense. Something was wrong in the way she moved. Then she collapsed. Logan didn't think. In seconds, he was out of the car, running between vehicles, ignoring horns and curses. By the time he reached Emily, Eli was already kneeling beside her, crying. Noah and Levi were rushing over, fear all over their faces. "Emily!" Logan dropped to his knees, touching her face. She was burning with fever. "Emily, can you hear me?" She didn't respond. Her breathing was shallow, her pulse weak and fast. "What's wrong with Mommy?" Levi asked, tears streaming down his cheeks. "She's sick," Logan replied, scooping Emily into his arms. She was so light, so frail. "I'm taking her to the hospital. Come with me, quickly." The boys hesitated. Noah took a step forward, protective. "Mommy said not to go with strangers." "I'm not a stranger," Logan said, heart clenching at those words. "I'm a friend of your mommy from a long time ago, and she needs help right now." Noah looked at his brothers, then at Emily unconscious in Logan's arms. He made a decision with a maturity far beyond his years. "Let's go with him," he told his brothers. "Mommy needs a doctor." Logan ran back to the car, all three boys at his heels. He carefully placed Emily in the back seat. "Get in, all of you, hurry." The boys squeezed in beside their mother, small hands clutching hers as if they could keep her from slipping away. "Central Hospital," Logan ordered the driver. As fast as possible. The car sped through traffic, hazard lights flashing. Logan looked back at Emily. Her face was ashen, her lips almost white. How long had she felt this way? Why hadn't she asked for help? He knew the answer. Pride. The same pride that kept him from looking for her for 6 years. Is she going to be okay? Eli's small voice brought him back. Logan looked at the boy, his son, and felt a lump in his throat. Yes, she'll be fine, I promise. It was a promise he intended to keep at any cost. Central Hospital was the best in the city. The doctors recognized Logan immediately. The pediatric ward was named Bennett, thanks to a donation from his family. Emily was rushed to the ER. Logan stayed in the waiting room with the boys, all three so silent and scared it broke his heart. You must be hungry, he said, realizing it was past noon. Let's get something to eat while we wait. In the cafeteria, Logan watched how they ate slowly, politely, as if they were afraid the food would vanish if they weren't careful. Levi, usually talkative, was quiet. Eli barely touched his meal, his eyes constantly darting to the door. Noah watched Logan with wary eyes so much like his own. Do you know the man who leaves gifts for us? Eli asked suddenly. Logan swallowed hard. Why do you ask? Because you smell like apples, like the apples that appear in the gifts. Logan didn't know what to say. He was saved by the doctor, who entered the cafeteria at that moment. Mr. Bennett, may we speak in private? Logan stood up. Stay here, he told the boys. I'll be right back. He followed the doctor to a quiet corner. How is she? She's stable, but the situation is concerning. Severe malnutrition, severe anemia, signs of chronic exhaustion. She's dehydrated and has the beginning of a lung infection. Her body just gave out. Logan closed his eyes for a moment. Will she recover? With proper treatment, yes, but she'll need rest, adequate nutrition, medication, and frankly, a better place to live. She'll have it all, Logan said. Can I see her? She's still unconscious, but yes, you can go in. Room 302, Logan returned to the boys. Your mum's going to be okay, but she needs to rest in the hospital for a while. Do you want to see her? 3 little heads nodded in unison. Emily looked even smaller in the hospital bed, hooked up to tubes and monitors. Logan felt the crushing weight of guilt to see how thin she'd become. How had he not realized before how sick she was? The boys approached the bed hesitantly. Eli was the first to touch Emily's hand. Mommy, he whispered, as if afraid to wake her. We're here. Logan felt tears burn his eyes. He cleared his throat, trying to keep it together. The doctor said she'll sleep for a few hours. She needs to rest to get better. What about us? Noah asked, ever practical. Where do we stay? It was a question loaded with meaning. Logan knew he couldn't take them back under the overpass. He also knew Emily would be furious if he made decisions for her children without permission. Why don't you stay with me until your mom gets better? I have a hotel suite close by with comfy beds and a TV. He tried a smile. And we can order pizza. What's pizza? Levi asked, curious. Logan's heart broke a little more. His children had never eaten pizza. It's the best food in the world, he said, trying to sound excited. You'll love it. The hotel was luxurious, but Logan had asked the staff to be discreet. The boys stared wide-eyed at everything, the chandeliers, the plush carpets, the mirrored elevator. In the suite, they froze at the entrance, as if they feared dirtying something. Come in, Logan encouraged them. This place is for you. Slowly, the boys stepped forward. Levi was the first to gather courage, running and jumping on the huge bed. Head so soft, he yelled, laughing for the first time since Emily collapsed. Eli joined him, and soon even Noah relaxed a bit, testing how far he could sink into the sofa. Logan watched them, amazed, his children, his boys. How had he missed 6 years of their lives? He ordered pizza as promised and watched in fascination as they took their first bites, eyes widening at the taste. After dinner, Logan improvised bath time. None of the boys had ever used a bathtub, so he helped them, noticing with sadness their protruding ribs, the small bruises from a life far too harsh for such young kids. He dressed them in new pajamas he'd asked the reception to buy and told them a made-up story until all 3 fell asleep, exhausted by the day's turmoil. Logan watched them for a long time. Then he called the hospital. Any change in the patient in room 302? She woke up briefly, sir, asked about her children and went back to sleep. Thank you. I'll be there in the morning. Logan looked at the sleeping boys. Tomorrow he'd face Emily's fury. Tomorrow she'd probably try to take them away, go back to the streets, to the pride that kept her going. But tonight, just for tonight, his children were safe, clean, well-fed. And that was all that mattered. Emily woke up disoriented. The bright hospital light hurt her eyes. She tried to sit up, but her body felt like lead. Where? She murmured, her throat dry. Central Hospital, answered a familiar voice. You passed out on the street yesterday. Emily turned her head with effort. Logan was sitting beside the bed, dark circles under his eyes indicating he hadn't slept. Panic struck her like lightning. My children. Where are my children? Calm down, Logan said, standing up. They're fine. They're here. He opened the door a bit wider, and there they were, her 3 boys, cleaner than she'd ever seen them, wearing new clothes, freshly washed faces, and, most surprisingly, smiles. Mommy! Eli ran to the bed, followed by his brothers. You're awake! Emily felt tears in her eyes as she hugged them, too weak to squeeze as tightly as she wanted. They smelled like expensive soap and children's shampoo. We slept in a hotel, Mommy, Levi said excitedly. The bed was huge, and we ate pizza. And we took a bubble bath, Noah added more calmly, but just as excited. With foam. Emily looked at Logan, who stood back to give them space. She should be furious. She should yell at him for taking her children, for making decisions about them. But she couldn't. Not when she saw how happy they were. Clean, healthy, cared for better than she'd managed in years. Are they okay? She could only manage that question, her voice trembling. Logan nodded, understanding how profound that simple question was. They're great. They ate well, slept well. They're amazing kids, Emily. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting relief wash over her. When she opened them again, there was a new resolve there. It's not for you, she said softly, so only Logan could hear. It's for them. Logan understood instantly. It was the surrender Emily had sworn she'd never give, the acceptance of help she promised never to accept. I know, he replied simply. It's always been about them. Emily stayed in the hospital for a week. The doctors insisted she needed more time, but she refused. She was already too restless about depending on Logan's help for so long. I can't stay here forever, she told the doctor on the morning of the 7th day. I have 3 children to care for. Your children are being well cared for, the doctor replied, giving Logan a meaningful look from the doorway. And you need to fully regain your strength. Emily followed the doctor's gaze. Logan was there every day, bringing the boys to visit her, taking them away when she needed to rest. He seemed different from the man she had known years ago, less arrogant, more present. I feel better, she insisted, and I need to go back to my home. The word felt strange. She had no home. The doctor sighed. Ms. Carson, let me be frank. Your body is at its limit. Severe anemia, chronic malnutrition, the start of pneumonia. If you go back to the streets now, you'll be back here in less than a month. And maybe next time, we won't be so lucky. Emily lowered her head. She knew the doctor was right. She could feel the weakness in her bones, the constant fatigue that even a week of rest and proper nutrition hadn't cured. Emily, Logan took a step closer, hesitant. Could I talk to you for a moment, in private? She nodded reluctantly, and the doctor left the room. I know you don't want my help, Logan began, sitting in the chair beside the bed, and you have every right to hate me for what I did. But this isn't about me or you now. It's about the boys. Emily didn't respond, but he saw she was listening. I bought a house, he finally said. Nothing extravagant or flashy. A simple house, with enough bedrooms for everyone, a small yard where they can play. It's near a good school. Emily raised her eyes, surprised. You bought a house. For who? For you. For the boys. And for you if you want. Logan, I'm not asking anything in return, he hurried to say. I'm not trying to buy my way back into your lives. I just want you all to have a safe place to live. Emily looked out the window. Outside, autumn was tinting the trees with reds and golds. How long had it been since she'd had a real roof over her head? A place where she didn't have to worry about rain, cold, or dangerous people. "What happens when you get tired of playing the hero?" she asked quietly, her voice firm. "When the novelty wears off, and you realize being a father isn't as glamorous as you thought." The question hit Logan like a slap, but he kept his composure. He deserved every word. "It's not a game to me, Emily. The house will be in your name. The boys need stability, safety. They need a home." Emily closed her eyes for a moment. She was so tired of fighting, of being strong all the time. "Can I at least see this place before deciding?" Logan smiled and relieved. "Of course. Actually, the boys are already there. I thought they'd like to get it ready for you." And the house was in a peaceful neighborhood, neither rich nor poor. Simple homes with small gardens, trees lining the sidewalk, a community park a couple of blocks away. The taxi stopped in front of a two-story structure, painted a soft shade of blue. There were flowers planted outside and a small porch with a swing. "This is it," Logan said, paying the driver. Emily looked out the window apprehensively. It looked like the kind of house she used to dream about when she was younger, the kind of place where kids could grow up happy. "Come on," Logan encouraged, opening the taxi door. "They're waiting." Emily exited slowly, still feeling weak, leaning on Logan's offered arm without thinking. The familiar gesture, him supporting her as they walked, brought back memories she had tried to bury. Before they reached the door, it suddenly flew open, and 3 little whirlwinds came running out. "Mommy, Mommy!" "You came!" Eli was the first to reach her, throwing himself into her arms so hard she almost fell. "Careful, buddy," Logan laughed, steadying Emily so she wouldn't fall. "Your mum's still recovering." "Sorry," Eli mumbled, stepping back slightly but not letting go of Emily's hand. Levi danced around them, unable to contain his excitement. "Mommy, you have to see my room. It's blue, and it has glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling." Noah, always the most reserved, approached calmly, but his eyes shone. "We helped fix everything," he said proudly, "so you'd like it." Emily felt a lump in her throat. Her children looked different, not just cleaner and better fed, but more like children, freed from the constant worry she'd always seen in their eyes. "Let's go in," she said, letting them guide her inside. The interior of the house was simple but cozy, comfortable furniture, nothing ostentatious, warm colors on the walls. There were already photos of the boys hanging up. Logan must have taken them in recent days. "Come see the bedrooms." Levi tugged her hand excitedly. Emily climbed the stairs slowly, still getting used to standing after so long in the hospital. Upstairs, there were 4 bedrooms. The boys took her to theirs first. Levi's room was indeed blue, with stars and planets painted on the ceiling. There was a spaceship-shaped bed and shelves with carefully organized books and toys. "You like space?" Emily asked, surprised. She'd never had the chance to discover her children's individual interests. "Yes. Logan showed me a book about astronauts. I want to be one when I grow up." Emily looked at Logan, who was standing in the doorway, giving them space. Logan. Not Dad, just Logan. He seemed to understand the limits. Noah's room was green with a desk full of drawing materials. The walls were decorated with sketches he'd done in the past few days. "Did you draw all this?" Emily asked in wonder. Noah nodded shyly. "Logan bought me colored pencils, all kinds." Eli's room was red, with a small bookshelf and a teddy bear on the bed. "The teddy bear is so I don't have nightmares," Eli explained seriously. "Logan said it scares away monsters." Emily felt something strange in her chest, not anger, as she expected, but a reluctant gratitude. Logan had paid attention to each boy, their personalities, their fears, and their dreams. "And that room?" she asked, pointing to a closed door at the end of the hall. "It's yours," Noah answered, as if it were obvious. "We helped decorate it, but Logan said you can change anything if you don't like it." Emily looked at Logan again. He shrugged, almost embarrassed. "I thought you'd like to have your own space." The bedroom was simple and elegant, soft lavender walls, a large bed with a white comforter, curtains that let in sunlight, a small vase of fresh flowers on the bedside table, and on the wall opposite the bed, a framed photograph, her 3 boys smiling, taken recently. Emily felt her legs give way, and she sat on the edge of the bed. It was too much to process. "There's one more thing," Levi said, tugging her hand again. "The best part." The boys led her back downstairs and through glass doors to the backyard. There was a small fenced garden, a tree providing shade, a little swing, and a patch of grass where the kids could run. "It's safe," Noah explained, with the seriousness of someone who understands the value of safety. "It has a high fence. Nobody can get in. And we can play without you worrying," Eli added. The three ran across the grass, laughing, forgetting Emily for a moment as they enjoyed the simple freedom of having space to run. Emily watched them, feeling something inside her, something hard and cold that had formed over the years, begin to melt. "They've never had a yard," she murmured. "They deserve this," Logan said, standing next to her. "And so much more." Emily didn't reply. She just watched her children running, free and happy like she'd never seen them before. "How long," she began, unsure how to phrase her question. "How long can we stay?" "As long as you want," Logan replied. "The house is yours, Emily. The paperwork is in your name. Even if you don't want me in their lives, this house will always be theirs." Emily looked at him, searching for a catch, but she saw only sincerity in his eyes. "Why?" she finally asked. "Why now, after all this time?" Logan was silent for a moment, watching the boys. "Because I finally understand what I lost," he said at last. "And because I want to be the man they deserve as a father, the man you deserved 6 years ago." Emily folded her arms defensively. "I'm not ready to forgive you." "I know. And I'm not sure if I ever will be." "I know that too." Emily sighed, feeling the weight of the last few years, of the constant struggle. They need stability. "A home. Yes, we'll stay," she said finally. "For them, not for you, not for me, for them." Logan nodded, accepting the terms. "That's all I ask." The first weeks in the new house felt strange to Emily. After so long living day to day, fighting just to survive, the idea of having a safe place and guaranteed meals felt almost unreal. She still woke up at night, panicked, thinking she was under the overpass in the rain. She still saved leftovers, unable to throw away what remained, storing it for hard times. Logan noticed these habits but never commented. He kept a respectful distance, visiting regularly but never staying too late. He brought groceries, toys for the boys, books, always discreet, never flaunting his wealth. Gradually, a routine took shape. The boys started attending a good local school. Emily, I'm still recovering physically, spent her days caring for the house, relearning how to live a normal life. Logan came by almost every afternoon. Sometimes he helped with homework. Other times he just played with the boys in the yard. He never pushed Emily for longer conversations, respecting her space and time. Noah was the first to warm up to Logan. The quiet, observant boy discovered Logan could draw. One day, Emily found them at the kitchen table, heads together over sheets of paper. Logan showing Noah how to draw a dragon. "Look, Mommy," Noah beamed, showing her the drawing. "Logan taught me how to make the scales." Emily smiled, a genuine smile, the first in a long time. "It's beautiful, sweetheart." Next was Levi. Fascinated by adventure stories, he discovered Logan could invent wonderful tales about pirates and hidden treasure. Soon he was sitting on Logan's lap every evening, begging for just one more story before bed. Eli, always the most cautious of the three, took longer. But Logan was patient. He learned that Eli liked building things, so he brought small construction kits, blocks, trains, puzzles. He sat on the floor with Eli, building in silence, respecting the boy's pace. Emily watched all this from a distance, with a swirl of emotions. Seeing her children so happy was everything she ever wanted. But seeing them bond with the man who abandoned them before birth, that still confused her. There were moments, though, when she almost forgot the past, like when she heard them all laughing in the yard while playing soccer, or when she found Logan reading a bedtime story to 3 sleepy boys gathered around him. It happened one rainy afternoon, almost 2 months after they moved into the house, that something changed. The boys were playing in the living room while Emily cooked dinner. Logan sat on the floor with them, helping build a fortress of pillows. Levi, always hyper, climbed a stack of pillows and jumped off expecting Logan to catch him. But he miscalculated. He hit the corner of the coffee table, striking his forehead hard. The thud made Emily drop her spoon and race to the living room. Levi was on the floor, a thin trickle of blood running from his brow, his face frozen in that second before a big cry. Before Emily could reach him, Levi staggered up and ran the other way. "Daddy!" he wailed, throwing himself into Logan's arms. "It hurts." Time seemed to freeze. That word, "Daddy," hung in the air, fragile and precious. Logan was still for a moment, shock on his face. Then, sensing Levi's tears, he pulled him close, examining the cut. "It's okay, buddy," he murmured, voice tight with emotion. "Just a little cut, it'll heal soon." Emily grabbed the first aid kit while Logan calmed Levi. When she came back, Noah and Eli were clinging to Logan too, scared by the blood. "It's nothing serious," Logan assured everyone while Emily cleaned the wound and applied a bandage. "See, Mommy fixed it," Levi sniffled, wiping his tears. "Thanks, Mommy, thanks, Daddy." There it was again, that word, and this time Logan couldn't hide his feelings. His eyes shone with unshed tears, and he cleared his throat, turning away slightly. "You're welcome, buddy," he said in a rough voice. "How about we finish our fortress now?" The boys soon forgot the incident, back to their game. Logan excused himself, saying he needed the bathroom. Emily saw him hurry upstairs. Minutes later, when she went to get more pillows from Eli's room, she passed the bathroom. The door was slightly ajar, and through the gap she saw Logan sitting on the edge of the tub, face in his hands, silently crying. Emily paused, startled. In all the years she had known him, she had never seen him cry, not even when they broke up, when she left the hospital with the babies. Never. She moved away without a sound, an unfamiliar sensation in her chest. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But maybe it was the beginning of understanding. In the days that followed, Daddy became common in the boys' vocabulary. Levi first, then Eli, and finally even cautious Noah. It wasn't forced or rehearsed, it felt natural, like the empty space in their lives finally found a name. Emily didn't intervene. She didn't correct them. For the first time, she didn't feel anger hearing her children call someone else family. And when she watched from afar, seeing Logan tie Eli's shoelaces, or help Noah with a difficult task, or lift Levi into his arms after a fall, something inside her, a feeling long forgotten, began to stir again. Trust. She was still afraid, still not completely trusting. She still woke some mornings afraid it would all vanish, that they'd return to living under a highway overpass, that Logan would abandon them again. But each day, that fear shrank a little. And with every daddy she heard from her children's lips, another small crack formed in the wall she had built around her heart. 4 months had passed since Emily and the boys moved into the house. Winter arrived with frosty mornings and long nights. The house, once just a place to stay, began to feel like a true home. Emily watched snowflakes from the kitchen window as she prepared breakfast. Outside, our people walked briskly in heavy coats, braving the cold wind. She couldn't help but think about what this winter would have been like if they were still under the overpass. A shiver ran down her spine, unrelated to the temperature. "Mommy, do I have swimming class today?" Levi burst into the kitchen, still in pajamas, hair sticking up everywhere. Emily smiled, pushing aside the dark thoughts. "Yes, after school." "Eat your breakfast?" Soon Noah and Eli joined him, yawning and rubbing their eyes. It was amazing how much they had changed in a few months. Not just physically, they were taller, with healthy cheeks, but also in their demeanor. Noah no longer had to be constantly on alert. Eli no longer had that persistent cough. Levi was still Levi, but now he had room to be the energetic child he always was. "Is Daddy picking us up from school today?" Eli asked, biting into a piece of toast. Emily hesitated only a second before replying, "Yes, he said he would." It was still strange hearing her children call Logan Daddy, but she couldn't deny that he had truly become that for them. He showed up for every important moment, helped with homework, took them to the doctor, attended school meetings, everything a father should do. And most importantly, he never once broke a promise. If he said he'd be there, he was. For Emily, who knew the old Logan, the one who vanished when things got tough, this was perhaps the most significant change. The boys finished their breakfast and went to get ready for school. Emily stayed behind in the kitchen, lost in thought. The doorbell rang, snapping her out of her reverie. "I'll get it," Noah shouted from upstairs. Emily heard the door open and Logan's cheerful greeting to the boys. She took a deep breath, preparing to see him. Even after months, she still felt a confusing mix of emotions whenever he was around. Logan appeared in the kitchen doorway, carrying Eli piggyback. "Good morning," he said, slightly out of breath from their game. "I came early to help get the boys to school. It's snowing pretty hard." Emily nodded, thankful for the help. "Thanks. They're almost ready." Logan set Eli on the floor, ruffling his hair. "Go finish getting ready, buddy. I need to talk to your mom for a minute." Eli ran off, and Logan stepped closer, looking a bit uneasy. "Is everything okay?" Emily asked, noticing his tension. "Yes, He hesitated. "I was wondering if you'd be free tonight." "After the boys go to sleep?" Emily raised an eyebrow, surprised. "Why?" "I need to talk to you. About some things." There was a seriousness in his tone she wasn't used to hearing. For a moment, her old fear resurfaced. Was this when he would say he was tired? That playing family was over? "Nothing to worry about," Logan quickly assured her, reading her expression. "Just some things I should have told you a long time ago." Emily nodded slowly. "Okay, they're usually asleep by 8. I'll come by around 9. Then, thank you." The rest of the morning went by normally. Logan helped drive the boys to school, then headed to work. Emily spent the day organizing the house, shopping for groceries, finally picking the boys up from school when the snow let up. But all day, Logan's words echoed in her mind. What was so important? So serious? That evening after dinner, the boys' bath and story time, Logan called to say goodnight, as he always did when he wasn't around. Emily finally had a moment to herself. She looked in the bathroom mirror. She was different from the woman who had sold candy at a traffic light just a few months earlier. Her face was no longer so gaunt, her hair shone with health, and her eyes no longer had that constant fearful look. But inside, she still carried the scars of 6 years of struggle and abandonment. The doorbell rang at exactly 9. Emily took a deep breath and went to answer. Logan stood there, snowflakes on the shoulders of his dark coat. He held a small box in his hands. "May I come in?" he asked, almost shyly. Emily nodded, stepping aside. "The boys are already asleep." Logan removed his coat and hung it up. He followed Emily into the living room, where a low fire crackled in the fireplace. He had thought of everything when he bought this house, knowing how Emily always felt cold. "Would you like some tea?" Emily offered, feeling oddly formal with the man she once knew so intimately. "No, thank you. He looked down at the box in his hands, then held it out to her. "This is for you." Emily accepted it cautiously. It wasn't a wrapped present, just a simple cardboard box. She opened it gently. Inside were photographs. Dozens of them, printed on glossy paper. Pictures of the boys taken over the past weeks and months. Noah focused on his drawings, Levi mid-jump at the park, Eli sleeping, clutching his teddy bear. The three together, laughing, playing, living. "I thought you might like these," Logan said softly. "I know you missed a lot of moments when you were on the streets. Moments when taking photos was impossible." Emily flipped through them, a lump in her throat. So much love captured in those images, so much of each child's unique personality. "Thank you," she murmured, surprised by the kindness of this gesture. Logan sat on the opposite couch, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. There was a tension in his shoulders Emily hadn't seen before. "That's not the only reason I came," he said after a moment. "I came because I think you deserve to know the truth. All of it." Emily carefully placed the photos back in the box, giving him her full attention. "What truth?" Logan ran his hands over his face, a weary gesture that made him look older than his 30-something years. "About why I did what I did, why I left you all." Emily tensed up. They had never spoken openly about those days. They tiptoed around it like a wound still too raw to touch. "You don't have to—" "I do," Logan gently interrupted. "I've carried this inside for 6 years, and you deserve to know, even if it changes nothing." Emily nodded slowly, bracing herself for what he would say. Logan took a deep breath, as if summoning courage. "My father," he began, voice lower than usual. "William Bennett was a difficult man, demanding, cold. He built an empire by being ruthless in business and just as ruthless at home." Emily knew some of the story. Logan rarely spoke about his father in the old days. "I grew up hearing that feelings were weaknesses, that real men didn't show emotions, that success in business was the only measure of worth." Logan got up, restless, walking to the window. Outside, the snow continued falling silently. "I hated how my father acted," he continued, his back still turned. "I hated how he treated my mother, how he treated me. I swore I'd be different, that I'd never be like him." He let out a bitter, humorless laugh. "And in the end, I became exactly like him. Cold, distant, obsessed with work. I put success, money, his approval above everything else, above you, above our children." Logan turned to face her, and Emily saw something new in his eyes, pure vulnerability. "When we found out it was triplets, I panicked. 3 babies at once felt impossible. And my father kept saying my life was over, that you were a distraction, that kids were just a burden holding me back." Emily felt a wave of anger at those words. "So you chose to believe him?" "Yes," Logan admitted, voice filled with shame. "And it was the worst decision of my life, the most cowardly." He walked back to the couch, sitting closer to her this time. "When you went into labor, I was in a big meeting. I thought it was important at the time. Now I realize nothing that day was more important than being by your side." Emily remembered that day vividly. The pain, the fear, the crushing loneliness. "I got scared. I ran. I thought you'd be better off without me since I clearly wasn't ready to be a father." Logan shook his head, disgusted with himself. "But I was wrong. Terribly wrong. I missed my children's growth, their first steps, their first words. And you—" His voice broke. "You suffered because of me. I should have supported you from the start. Instead, I left you alone when you needed me most." Emily felt tears forming, but she refused to let them fall. She had promised herself years ago she would never cry over Logan Bennett again. "Why are you telling me this now?" she asked, struggling to keep her voice steady. Logan raised his eyes to meet hers. "Because these last few months, I've learned more about being a man, about being a father, than I have in my entire life. And I learned it from them, Noah, Levi, Eli, and from you." He leaned forward, words coming quickly now. "My father died 2 years ago. On his deathbed, he told me he regretted everything, how he lived, how he raised me. He said not to make his mistakes. Back then, I thought it was just a dying man's ramblings. Now I understand what he meant." Logan paused, swallowing hard. "I don't want to be his reflection. I don't want my kids growing up believing money and power are more important than family. I want them to be proud of me, not ashamed. I want to be there for them. I want—" His voice faltered again. "I want to be worthy of every daddy they say." The silence that followed seemed to vibrate with the intensity of his confession. Emily felt her chest tighten with conflicting emotions, old anger for the abandonment, reluctant gratitude for his recent help, and something else she wasn't ready to name. "Why did it take so long?" she finally asked. 6 years, Logan. 6 years you never cared if we were alive or dead." Logan closed his eyes, pain clear on his face. "I have no excuses, only explanations, which I know aren't enough. At first, I told myself it was better this way, that you'd move on, find someone better. Then, the more time passed, the harder it felt to look for you. The shame, the guilt." He studied his hands. "When I finally built up the courage to search for you, you disappeared. No one knew where you went. I hired investigators, but it was like you vanished." "Because I was on the streets," Emily said, her voice hard. "Because I had nowhere to go after you abandoned us." Logan nodded, accepting the accusation. "I know there's nothing I can say or do to erase what happened, the damage I caused. the years I lost. I can only try to be better now. For them, and if you'll let me, for you too." Emily was silent for a long moment, processing everything she'd heard. Part of her wanted to scream at him, to throw in his face every cold night, every missed meal, every humiliation she endured because of his cowardice. But another part, a part she tried to ignore, saw the sincerity in his eyes, the real change in his actions over the past few months. "They love you," she said finally. "You've become the father they always wanted." "And you?" Logan asked, hesitant. "Do you think you could ever forgive me?" Emily got up, needing distance. She walked to the fireplace, watching the flames dance. "I haven't forgotten what you did," she said deliberately. "The scars are still here. They probably always will be." She turned to face him. "But I see who you're trying to be. Not for me, but for them. And that means something." Logan waited, barely breathing, sensing there was more to come. "You have your chance now, Logan. You'd better honor it. Because if you hurt them again, if you disappear from their lives the way you did before..." She didn't need to finish the threat. "I understand," he said, standing up as well. "And I promise I won't let them down. Or you." Emily nodded, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders, not completely, but enough to breathe easier. "It's late," she said, quietly indicating the conversation was over. Logan got the hint. He picked up his coat and walked to the door. Before leaving, he turned around once more. "Thank you for listening, for letting me be a part of their lives." Emily didn't reply, but she held his gaze. There was a silent understanding between them now. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But maybe it was the beginning of something new, something built on truth instead of illusions. After Logan left, Emily went back to the living room and picked up the box of photographs. She examined each picture carefully, her children's smiles, the sparkle in their eyes, the security that now surrounded them. 6 years of pain wouldn't vanish overnight, but maybe, just maybe, they could start building a future where that pain wasn't the center of everything. Spring arrived gently, bringing flowers to gardens and a new lightness to the family that, a few months earlier, had seemed impossible. It wasn't a sudden change, just small moments accumulating, transforming everyone's dynamic. After that night, Logan opened his heart. The barriers didn't disappear completely, but became less impenetrable. Emily began smiling more around him. Sometimes she saved a bit of dessert just for him, small gestures but meaningful. The boys, now almost 7, were thriving. Noah, still the most serious, proved to be an excellent student. Levi channeled his boundless energy into sports and theater. Eli, the most sensitive, revealed a surprising musical talent, singing with a voice that moved everyone. On a sunny April morning, as Emily prepared coffee, Logan arrived earlier than usual. He looked like he'd had a restless night, but there was a determined glint in his eyes she hadn't seen before. "Did something happen?" she asked, handing him a cup. "I made a decision last night," Logan replied, taking the coffee. "I'm leaving Bennett Enterprises." Emily almost dropped her cup. "What? I'm stepping down completely. I already spoke to the board this morning. I'm selling my shares." Emily stared at him, confused. The company had been everything to Logan, or so she thought. "Why?" "Yesterday I missed Noah's science fair because I was stuck in a teleconference with investors in Tokyo." She remembered Noah had asked for his father several times, looking expectantly at the school door. His disappointment when he realized Logan wasn't coming was something Emily preferred to forget. "When I got home last night," Logan continued, "I found his project on the kitchen table, a perfect solar system. He left a note, for Dad to see when he has time." Logan set his cup down, eyes shining with determination. "That's when I realized I was following exactly in my father's footsteps, placing the company above all else, missing moments that never come back. I don't want my kids growing up writing notes to a dad who never has time," he concluded. "I don't want to be just a weekend figure." "But the company was everything to you," Emily said, still trying to wrap her mind around it. "Your father's legacy." "My father's legacy almost destroyed our family," Logan said firmly. I won't let it keep separating us." "So what will you do?" Logan smiled, looking suddenly lighter. "I'll be a father, full-time, and maybe, one day, I'll start something new, something smaller, more meaningful. Something that lets me be there for every play, every game, every important moment." Emily felt a strange emotion rising in her chest. Seeing Logan consciously choose family over everything else, even the empire his father built, touched a part of her she thought had died long ago. That afternoon, when the boys came home from school, Logan was waiting at the door. It wasn't unusual for him to be there, but something about him was different. He wasn't checking his phone or looking rushed. He was simply present. "Daddy!" Levi shouted, running into his arms. "Hey, buddy!" Logan laughed, lifting him up. "How was school today?" "Look what I made in art class." Eli joined them, holding out a colorful drawing. "That's awesome, Eli. We'll hang it on the fridge." Noah approached more slowly, cautiously. "Did you see my science project?" he asked, hesitant. Logan knelt to meet his son's eyes. "I did. It's the best solar system I've ever seen. And guess what? I have a surprise for you." The three boys gathered around, curious. "Starting today, I'll be home every day when you get back from school. So I'll be at every game, every show, every meeting. I'm not missing anything anymore." "You're not working anymore?" Noah asked, always perceptive. "I'll work on something different, something that lets me be with you a lot more." "Promise?" Eli asked, his big blue eyes fixed on his father. "I promise," Logan replied, with a seriousness that even Emily, watching from the kitchen door, found moving. "And this time, it's a promise I'll never break." The following weeks brought a remarkable transformation. Logan was there for everything, helping with homework, making dinner sometimes, learning to manage the daily crises of three energetic boys. He discovered he had much to learn: how to calm Eli after a nightmare, how to redirect Levi's energy without driving everyone crazy, how to encourage Noah to open up more, to trust more. There were difficult moments, of course, nights when Logan felt lost without the strict structures of his old life, days when patience ran thin with the non-stop demands of three children. Times Emily found him staring out the window, looking distant. But those moments grew rarer, replaced by new ones, flashes of pure joy Logan had never experienced in boardrooms or while signing big deals, like the first time he taught the boys to ride bikes, or when he helped Noah build a volcano for the science fair, or simply sitting on the living room floor, building pillow forts and telling stories about dragons and knights. Emily watched these changes with a mix of surprise and something she still hesitated to call hope. There were moments she found herself looking at Logan, really looking and seeing not the man who abandoned her, but the man he was becoming, the father her children deserved. The boy's birthday dawned bright and sunny. They'd planned a simple picnic in the park, nothing extravagant, just family gathered, homemade cakes, one for each boy with their favorite flavors, and presents chosen with care. Emily spread out a large blanket on the grass while Logan helped the boys set up a mini cricket game. Their laughter echoed through the park, genuine and carefree. "Mommy, look!" Levi shouted, hitting the ball with surprising strength for his size. "I see, sweetheart," Emily replied, arranging the sandwiches she'd prepared. It was a normal day for many families, a simple Sunday picnic, but for them it represented something profound: normalcy. The normalcy they had never had. After eating, the boys ran off to play with other kids. Logan and Emily remained sitting on the blanket, watching in comfortable silence. "They're happy," Logan commented, watching the three little whirlwinds race across the grass. "Yes," Emily agreed. "Happier than I've ever seen them." Another moment of silence, this one charged with unspoken meaning. "What about you?" Logan finally asked, turning to face her. "Are you happy, Emily?" The question surprised her, not because of what it was, but because of its direct simplicity. How long had it been since anyone asked if she was happy? Emily looked at her children playing, at the bright blue sky above, at the man beside her, the man who had hurt her deeply, but who was now, day by day, trying to fix what he'd broken. "I'm learning to be happy again," she replied honestly, "and that's already more than I ever thought possible." Logan nodded, understanding. He placed his hand on the blanket, not demanding, just offering, After a moment of hesitation, Emily put her hand over his. It was the first time in 7 years they touched like this by choice, not by necessity. "I forgive you," she said softly, surprising them both. "Not because you deserve it or because the past can be erased, but because you chose to stay. And because they need both of us together." Logan closed his eyes for a moment, absorbing the weight of those words. When he opened them again, they glistened with tears. "Thank you," he said simply, giving her hand a gentle squeeze. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. There were no guarantees the path ahead would always be smooth. The scars of the past were still there, and might always be. But in that moment, sitting under the spring sunshine, watching their children play, Logan and Emily discovered something precious: the love that remained. The love that, despite everything, had survived, changed, tested, wiser perhaps, but still there, like an ember that had never fully gone out. The boys came running back, faces flushed and grinning, interrupting the moment. But the connection remained. Emily's and Logan's hands still joined on the picnic blanket. "Present time," Levi announced, always eager. Emily smiled, watching the excitement in all three. While Logan handed out the carefully wrapped boxes, she thought about how life can change in unexpected ways. 7 years ago, under a freezing overpass, holding 3 newborns, Emily had sworn she would never trust Logan Bennett again, never open her heart to love, never believe in promises. Now, as Eli hugged Logan tightly, thanking him for the new guitar, as Noah proudly showed off his new telescope, as Levi jumped for joy at his new complete soccer uniform, Emily realized that the human heart has a surprising capacity to heal, to forgive, to love again. A new family had formed, not perfect, not without scars, but whole. And as the sun began its slow descent on the horizon, bathing them in a golden light, Emily understood that some stories deserve a second beginning, a true restart, without illusions of perfection, but with something far more valuable: real love. The kind of love that knows pain, that understands sacrifice, and that chooses, nevertheless, to stay. Because in the end, it's not perfect love that holds a family together. It's imperfect love, tested and still surviving the storms. The love that stays when it would be easier to leave. The love that builds, day after day, a home where there was once just a house. And that love, the love that remained, was more than enough. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Leave a like, because it helps this story get recommended to more people. See you in the next story.